Have you ever met someone, and deep down in your soul, you heard a whisper? This wasn't just a coincidence. You didn't plan it. You weren't actively looking. But everything unfolded as if the universe had already arranged it. Carl Jung, the legendary Swiss psychologist, called this phenomenon meaningful coincidence, or synchronicity, an oddly timed event that defies logic, yet holds deep personal meaning for you. Today, we're going to explore 7 clear signs that the universe is guiding you to the person meant for you, based on the timeless wisdom of Carl Jung. Because when destiny calls your name, it doesn't shout. It whispers, through signs only your heart can understand. Carl Jung believed that we're not just individuals moving through random events. We are souls living in a deeply meaningful system. He introduced the concept of synchronicity, moments when something external perfectly aligns with something happening inside us. It's not luck. It's not random. It's the way the universe communicates with you, through symbols, timing, and energy. And when love is involved, synchronicity becomes even more powerful. Sign 1. You meet that person in a completely unexpected way, and everything feels meant to be. Think back for a moment. The last time you met someone who truly moved your heart, did you plan for that encounter? Or were you just living an ordinary day, when suddenly, the universe dropped you into a moment you could never forget? Carl Jung believed that there are moments in life that logic simply cannot explain. It's when the inner world, your thoughts, emotions, intuition, mysteriously aligns with the outer world, creating a sense of, this can't just be random. He called it synchronicity, a symbolic coincidence. Jung once wrote, "Synchronicity is the simultaneous occurrence of 2 or more events that are not causally related, but have deep meaning to the person experiencing them." So when you meet someone special in a seemingly meaningless situation, pause and ask yourself, could this be the universe whispering to me? A Stanford University study found these fateful experiences often happen when people are in an open state, not overly controlling, not stressed, and especially when they're going through a transition in life. When your mind is open and your soul is sensitive, you're more attuned to subtle messages from the world around you. That's why these destined meetings often don't happen when you're trying to find love. They happen when you let go of expectations, and suddenly, that person appears. Sarah, a high school teacher from Ohio, once shared on the New York Times podcast Modern Love. "I got divorced, hit rock bottom, and decided to travel alone for the first time in my life. I picked Denmark, a country I'd never even considered. On the 3rd day, I got lost in a train station. A man came up to help me, and now he's my husband." She said, "If I hadn't gotten lost, if I hadn't gotten divorced, if I hadn't broken my old plans, I never would have met him." That's synchronicity, something that seems random, but carries profound meaning. Brian, a former soldier, decided to go back to college at age 35. At orientation, he sat next to a young woman and thought, "She's probably too young to understand me." But after a few conversations, he realized she had also lost someone in the war. She, too, was studying to heal. Now they're married. Brian says, "I thought I was starting over. Turns out, I was walking into destiny." Ask yourself these 4 questions. 1. Does the timing make sense? If it doesn't make any sense, but still feels incredibly right, that's a sign. 2. Did it disrupt your usual routine? If your well-laid plans suddenly shifted and led you to that encounter, pay attention. 3. Did something awaken within you? Not just attraction. A deeper emotion, peace, a shock, or a sense of awakening. 4. Can you still feel that moment, even now? Encounters arranged by the universe often leave a lasting imprint on your memory. Jung once wrote, "You don't see the light by looking outward. You have to look within. Instead of running around trying to find someone, learn to become still within yourself. Observe. Be sensitive to the small things. Trust your first instinct. Because love isn't something you force into your life. It's something you become ready to receive when the time is right." If you're watching this video and a feeling rises in your chest, there was someone I met once, and something about that moment was just so strange. Leave a comment. Share your story. You might be living through a moment of synchronicity and not even realize it yet. And always remember, the universe doesn't scream at you. It whispers. Only when you listen with your heart can you truly hear it. Sign 2. You feel like you've met them before, a familiarity you can't explain. Have you ever met someone for the first time, and instantly they didn't feel like a stranger? No awkward small talk, no effort to get to know each other? Instead, you felt at peace. You felt a connection, as if your soul already knew them. Carl Jung called this an unconscious emotional memory, a connection that doesn't come from logic, but from the depth of the soul. Jung believed that all of us are connected through a deeper layer of the mind, a collective unconscious filled with archetypes, emotions, symbols, and memories that go beyond the personal. And sometimes, when two people meet, their souls recognize each other long before their minds understand what's happening. You think it's the first time you've met them, but your soul doesn't think so. Carl Jung. In a study by Professor Arthur Aaron, SUNY Stony Brook, he found that when people share emotional frequencies and similar life experiences, they're more likely to feel an instant closeness, even as strangers. Especially if they have gone through similar losses, share the same core values, have compatible emotional energy, e.g., both are introspective or deeply empathetic. The unconscious mind opens up quickly, and you feel that strange sense of familiarity, like you've walked a long road together, even if it's your first meeting. Ben and Lisa met at a psychology seminar in Colorado. They sat next to each other simply because there were no other empty seats. After a few minutes, Lisa turned to Ben and said, "I know this sounds crazy, but I feel like we've talked 1,000 times before." Ben froze. "I feel the same way. I can't explain it, but you don't feel like a stranger at all." They ended up talking for 6 hours straight. No awkwardness. No guardedness. Ben later said, "I've never felt that safe sharing my private thoughts with someone I just met." 6 months later, they were engaged. Not because they fell in love at first sight, but because their souls spoke to each other before their hearts even caught up. A 58-year-old man once shared this story on NPR's StoryCorps. "I lost my wife and never planned to fall in love again. But during a visit to my granddaughter's nursing home, I saw an elderly woman tending a garden in the courtyard. I said hello, she turned and smiled, and in that instant, I felt like I'd lived with that smile across many lifetimes. I'm not saying it was love. I'm saying it was recognition, deep, wordless recognition." Ask yourself these 5 questions. 1. Do you feel completely yourself around them? No need to perform or pretend. They bring out your most natural self. 2. Do you feel no pressure to impress them? It's as if the two of you already understand each other, without needing many words. 3. Do your emotions rise unexpectedly? You get emotional, even teary, over seemingly simple conversations. 4. Do you lose track of time? Minutes feel like seconds. Yet every word, every glance, stays with you. 5. Do you remember them long after, without knowing why? Even without staying in touch, their image lingers like an unfinished chapter. Jung once said, "When you meet someone and feel like you've known them before, it could be your soul reconnecting with a symbol from the collective unconscious." Don't rush to dismiss that feeling. Pause. Observe. Confirm it through real presence and behavior. Because not everyone who makes your heart race is a soulmate. But everyone who makes your soul feel calm is worth exploring more deeply. Have you ever met someone, and from the very first glance, it felt like coming home? If so, it might not have been random. It could be a soul fragment, drifting for years across the ocean of humanity, finally brushing up against yours for the very first time. Sign 3. The encounter happens by chance, but it changes everything. It wasn't a blind date your friends set up. It wasn't a planned meeting. There was no clear purpose at the beginning. Yet in that random moment, everything in your life began to shift. Carl Jung called this a meaningful coincidence, synchronicity. Synchronicity is when two or more events strangely align, even without a clear cause and effect connection, but hold deep emotional or spiritual meaning. You decide to change your train at the last minute and meet someone who changes your life. You get lost by accident and find the person you'll later call destiny. Jung believed these moments are not random. They're signals the universe sends when you're ready for a new chapter. Modern psychology offers a more scientific explanation. The reticular activating system, RAS, a neural network in your brain, filters information from the outside world and focuses your attention on what aligns with your deeper desires. So when you're longing for a meaningful connection, healing, or transformation, your RAS subconsciously leads you toward the right experiences. You begin to notice people and events that coincidentally show up, like something, or someone, is guiding you. In other words, you didn't just happen to meet them. You were led to them. Emma, 49, had just gone through a divorce and moved to a small coastal town. One morning, she decided to stop by a local coffee shop, something she'd never done before. She forgot her wallet and had to go back. When she returned, the seat she planned to take was already occupied. An older gentleman smiled and said, "I think I just stole your favorite seat." They both laughed and started talking. They soon discovered they had lived in the same neighborhood 20 years ago. They both lost a loved one that same year. They both loved still life painting and jazz. Emma said, "I wasn't looking for love. I was just trying to find myself." But that meeting made me believe some people come into our lives not for us to fall in love with, but to help us return to who we truly are. A young man shared this story on Reddit. "I missed my flight because I overslept. I was so angry I nearly lost it at the airport. But at the coffee shop, I saw a girl sketching. She was drawing a wristwatch that looked exactly like mine. We started talking. Took the same next flight. Delayed for the same reason. Heading to the same city. Took a walk together that night. Now, 5 years later, we're raising 2 cats together, and she still has that sketch." He said, "If I'd been on time, I never would have met the most important person in my life." How do you know it's synchronicity, not just coincidence? 1. You feel like it was meant to be almost instantly. Something just clicks. It feels like if even one small detail had changed, you wouldn't have met that person. 2. There are strange signs connected to the event, dreams, déjà vu, powerful feelings. Oh, you had a dream about someone like them before. Oh, you were thinking deeply about something when they appeared. Oh, you feel like your heart has been waiting for this person for a long time. 3. Your life starts to change clearly after that meeting. Looking back, you realize that wasn't just a random moment. It was the beginning of a new chapter. What can you do? 1. Listen to your heart, but check with your mind. Emotions are signals, but actions need time, observation, and clarity. 2. Write it down. Journal about the experience right after it happens. You'll be surprised when you read it again weeks or months later. 3. Observe how you're changing. Does this person inspire you to be better? Do they make you face things you've been avoiding? 4. Give yourself time. If it's destiny, they won't disappear just because you're not rushing. The universe will repeat the message in different forms, but with the same core feeling. Not every chance encounter is destiny. But every destiny enters your life as if by chance. If you've recently had an unexpected but deeply meaningful meeting, don't brush it off. It could be the universe sending you a message once in a lifetime. Sign 4. The relationship triggers a healing process within you. When the universe wants you to be with someone, it doesn't just bring you joy or passion. More importantly, it brings that person into your life to help you heal. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Each of us carries invisible wounds. A distant father who left you doubting love. A controlling mother who made you fear intimacy. A first heartbreak that taught you not to believe in lasting happiness. When the universe sends the right person, they won't necessarily be perfect. But they will help you face the pain you've buried. The most important people in your life, especially romantic partners, often reflect the parts of you that still need healing. For example, do you get jealous easily? That person might be very outgoing, challenging you to learn trust. Do you suppress your emotions? They might be extremely sensitive, encouraging you to open up. Do you fear abandonment? They might be independent and need space, pushing you to become emotionally grounded. They don't hurt you out of cruelty. They trigger your wounds so you can see them and begin to heal. Therapists call this triggering with purpose. Research by Dr. Harville Hendrix, author of Getting the Love You Want, shows the most lasting relationships aren't between two perfect people, but between two people who are willing to stay and heal together through conflict, misunderstanding, and fear. Dave was abandoned by his parents as a child. That fear of being left behind followed him into every relationship. Linda, a strong and assertive woman, had a habit of pulling away when things got tense, which sent Dave into panic mode. At first, they fought constantly. But instead of breaking up, they went to therapy together. The result? Dave learned how to manage his emotions and stop letting the past dictate the present. Linda learned how to stay and talk things through instead of shutting down. They nearly broke up, but 10 years later, they're now relationship coaches helping other couples do the same. How do you know if this is a healing relationship? 1. This person makes you uncomfortable, but in a way that helps you grow. You don't always feel safe and cozy, but you feel yourself evolving. Learning how to love in a healthy way, letting go of control, forgiving yourself. 2. Your arguments lead to deeper self-awareness, not just winning. The conflict teaches you more about yourself than about who's right. 3. You start wanting to take better care of yourself, not because they demand it, but because you finally feel worthy of happiness. Pay attention to intense emotions, instead of blaming your partner. Negative emotions might be old signals from your past, asking to be acknowledged. Ask yourself the right questions. Why did I react like that? Is this really about them, or is it about an old wound in me? Have honest conversations about your fears. If they stay, listen, and work through it with you. That's one of the clearest signs you're exactly where you're meant to be. When you meet the right person, they don't just love you. They help you become the person you were always meant to be, before the hurt. The universe doesn't send the ideal partner. It sends the person who is right for your healing and your growth. Sign 5. You feel a deep sense of peace when you're around them. Sometimes, the strongest sign from the universe isn't wild passion. It's not the kind of smile that makes your knees go weak. It's something much quieter. A strange sense of peace when you're near that person. Carl Jung once wrote, "Solitude is for me a fount of healing which makes my life worth living." In a world where everything moves too fast, true love doesn't make you feel chaotic. It makes you feel calm. It's not always about butterflies, excitement, or endless guessing games. It's about being in a space where you can breathe deeply, be fully yourself, and not fear being judged. According to Dr. Stephen Porges and his polyvagal theory, when you're near someone who makes you feel safe on a nervous system level, your parasympathetic nervous system activates. This slows your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, and creates a deep feeling of peace. In other words, when you're near the right person, your body knows, even before your heart does. Michael had dated many people. At first, it was always intense and passionate, but it would end in emotional exhaustion. Then he met Sarah. There were no fireworks. No obsessive late-night texting. Just a quiet sense of relief every time he was with her. He once asked his best friend, "She's not the kind of woman who makes me lose control, but she's the only one who makes me feel at peace." 5 years later, they got married. Michael says, "Real love isn't what drives you crazy. It's what makes you feel like you've finally come home." Here are a few clear signs of genuine peace. You don't feel the need to perform or impress. Talking, texting, or planning with them doesn't drain you, it energizes you. After seeing them, you sleep better, eat better, and focus more easily. You feel safe enough to share deeply personal things, because you trust they won't use it to hurt you. You can sit in silence together, and it's not awkward. It's just peaceful. Jung believed that the self is the deepest part of the psyche, where true internal harmony exists. When you're near someone who helps you reconnect with the self, you stop wondering, "Am I good enough?" You don't feel empty, you feel whole. You're quiet, but not numb, like your soul has found the home it's been searching for. Ask yourself, does this person make me want to grow, or make me want to retreat? If you feel safe being your full self, that's real peace. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of a soul that makes you want to stay, even when life gets hard. When the universe sends someone who brings calm to your chaos, peace in the middle of your storm, that's when you know you didn't meet them by accident. Sign 6. You feel like time doesn't exist when you're with them. There are people you meet for just a few weeks, but it feels like you've known them your whole life. There are conversations you think will only last a few minutes, but then you look at the clock and realize hours have passed. And you find yourself thinking, why does it feel so incredibly natural to be around them? According to Carl Jung, within the human mind lies something deeper than personal memory, the collective unconscious, a space filled with ancient memories and archetypes shared by all of humanity. When you meet the right person, those deep layers respond to one another, like two souls who've met long ago, now simply reuniting. 2. The scientific explanation: time distortion during deep connection. Modern psychology calls this phenomenon flow state, a mental state where your mind is completely immersed in a meaningful experience. According to psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who pioneered the concept, when you're in a deep connection, your brain stops processing time in fragments. The parts of the brain responsible for self-awareness and your internal biological clock temporarily go offline, allowing you to be fully present in the moment. Emma ended a 4-year relationship because she always felt like she had to try to keep the conversation alive. Then, one evening, she randomly met Josh at an art exhibit. They started talking at 7 p.m. and didn't stop until 3 a.m. No phones. No interruptions. No exhaustion. Emma said, "I don't remember everything we talked about. But I remember the feeling like time didn't exist and I could just be myself." 3 months later, they became a couple. 2 years later, they still call each other soul partners. You may notice these signs. You don't feel pressure to be interesting, the conversation just flows. You feel like you understand them unusually fast, even if you just met. You lose track of time when you're talking, sharing, or even just sitting together in silence. Time flies when you're with them, and drags when you're apart. Carl Jung believed that each of us carries an inner opposite within. For men, it's the anima, the ideal feminine archetype in the unconscious. For women, it's the animus, the ideal masculine image within. When you meet the right person, they awaken that archetype, making you feel as if you're becoming whole through them. That's why time stops mattering. Because your soul has reconnected with something deeper than time, your truest self. Real love doesn't make you aware of time passing. Because when souls are connected, time becomes just a concept. The universe doesn't send you someone who makes you try to stretch every moment. It sends you someone who makes every moment feel infinite, even if it's just a few minutes together. Sign 7. You naturally want to share everything with them. One of the clearest signs the universe sends when someone is truly meant for you is this. You don't just want to share the happy moments, you also want to open up about your hidden sides, your fears, and your most private dreams. Carl Jung once said, "What is not brought to consciousness comes to us as fate." When you feel safe with someone, you naturally open up, without fear of judgment or rejection. You don't hold back. You're not afraid to show your true self, because with them, you feel unconditionally accepted. Psychological studies have shown sharing deep emotions helps reduce stress and even boosts your immune system. When you open up, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone that creates trust and intimacy. Vulnerability is the foundation of emotional closeness, a key to lasting love. Anna, who went through a difficult period with her mental health, used to hide her struggles from everyone. But when she met David, she slowly felt safe enough to open up about her past. David didn't just listen, he empathized and supported her. Anna said, "It was only when I could share my truth without being judged that I finally felt what real love was." Signs you truly want to open up to someone. You want to tell them things you've never told anyone else. You feel safe sharing your failures, not just your achievements. You believe they truly understand you, even the parts you usually hide. You're not afraid they'll leave if you show them your hardest truths. Jung believed each of us carries a shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide or reject because of society or our own self-judgment. When you feel safe enough to let someone see your shadow, that's a powerful sign of trust and deep connection. Here's how to nurture that kind of connection. Start with small, honest shares, how you really felt today, or your true thoughts on something. Create a safe space by listening without judgment and showing real empathy. Use open-ended questions to gently invite the other person to share more. Be patient. Don't force vulnerability, let it unfold naturally. Still haven't met that person yet? Spoken gently, like a narrator. Maybe you haven't met them yet. Maybe the universe just took someone away who felt like your destiny. And that's okay. Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens." The universe often waits until your soul is quiet enough to whisper the greatest truths. So don't rush into love. Become the person destiny will recognize. Because true love isn't forced. It flows from alignment. When love is meant for you. How do you know the universe wants you to be with someone you met in a strange, unexpected way? You felt like you already knew them. They keep reappearing in your life. You feel emotionally different when you're with them. The timing only made sense once you were ready. Your souls resonate with each other. And something beyond logic keeps pulling you together. This isn't fantasy. It's how the universe speaks to your heart. If you've ever felt any of these things, you're not delusional. You're awakening. Because when love is meant for you, the universe doesn't have to convince you. It simply shows you. If this video touched something deep inside you, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might be waiting for a sign from the universe. And don't forget to leave a comment. Have you ever experienced a love that made you believe it was destiny? Next week, we'll explore why some souls love each other but still can't be together. See you then. Trust the timing. Trust the signs. And most of all, trust your soul.